Now, it's easy to feel powerless because of narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. You can feel overwhelmed. You can feel like you have no options, no choices. You are stuck. But in fact, you have all the power. You have the upper hand. And the upper hand comes in the form of your ability to make a decision. Now, it's not easy. It sounds obvious, but it's not easy to make a decision. It's not easy to yield this power. We're going to talk about it. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before we get into this message about the power that you have in the ability to make a decision in a toxic relationship, I want to let you know that I'm here to take one-on-one appointments with you. I'm available for you. Down in the description box, you'll find access to my calendar where you can schedule some one-on-one time with me. Now, let's talk about the power that you have in a toxic relationship. First and foremost, understand that this is the biggest threat to narcissistic people. They do not want you to know that you have the power, that you have the upper hand, and it comes in the form of decision making. Why? Because narcissistic abusive people hate. They absolutely hate your freedom. They hate liberty. They hate your ability to make a decision. This is why they spend so much time launching smear campaigns. This is why they try to get to know your close friends and your family members. And if you notice, if you pay attention, they are saying bad things about you behind your back, even to them. Why? Because they're trying to dismantle your outside connections. Why? Because they don't want you to have any options. They don't want you to be able to make a decision. Your decision making represents freedom. It represents liberty. And this to narcissists is oppressive. They literally feel oppressed by your freedom and your ability to make decisions. Because to them, it represents the idea that you can leave should something better come along. And they know deep down that they're not worth staying with. So rather than work on themselves, they'd rather work on your ability to leave. And so they crush through smear campaigns your ability to go anywhere else. They try to. But no matter what they do, you still oppress them and you still have the upper hand, because even though they can take away all these people and connections from you, they cannot take away your freedom, your liberty, and your ability to make decisions. You still have the power to do that. You could still walk away. You still have the right and the ability to make a decision whether to stay or to leave. And this gives you the upper hand in any toxic relationship. Now, it sounds obvious, but it's difficult to do because there's risks involved, right? Let's talk about some of the risks. There's a risk that you'll be alone if you leave. There's a risk that you won't have anywhere to go. There's a risk that you'll be talked about and laughed at or whatever the case may be. These are all risky things. But there's also a risk of staying involved, of you being further closed off from your outside connections, of you further being abused, yelled at, called names, cussed at, demeaned, devalued. Right? More of that. So there's a risk. So when there's risks either way, how do you make your decision? How do you harness this power that you have of making a decision? The best way to do it is to weigh out the benefits that are best for you, the health benefits of whatever decision you need to make. So for example, if you have a toxic family that you have spent every Christmas with for the past 20, 30 decades, you've been wrapped up with them. You've been the black sheep of the family. Always expected to be a part of them, never encouraged, never supported, always laughed at, always mocked. This has been your life controlled by them. You don't know what it looks like to not be controlled by them. So the risk for you to walk away from this family dynamic would be that perhaps if you walk away and go no contact and leave this family behind, exercising your freedom and right to choice, that you might have to spend Christmas Eve this year alone. That's a scary thought. You might be shriveling up inside just thinking about the thought of having to be alone and having no one to break bread with on Christmas Eve. That's the risk. You don't know what that feels like or what that looks like. And so it might seem, well, it's better just to go over to your narcissistic family's house where you're called names, beat down, mocked, criticized. At least you know what that feels like. But is it the healthy thing for you? What do you want your life to look like 5 years from now? If you want more of the same, then by all means, keep going and hanging out with the same family. And your life will not progress. Your relationships outside of your family will not progress. Your ability to get married, possibly have children, become a matriarch in your own right will not progress because you've decided to stay with your family. Now, you choose to separate yourself. Well, now they're going to launch their smear campaign. They're going to do everything to attack you, to hurt your reputation, to hurt your name. And now you may find yourself alone on Christmas Eve, crying your eyes out because for the first time you're alone and you feel like you have nobody. That's the risk. But I'll tell you what, if you commit to that, and I have, you may cry this Christmas Eve, you may cry next Christmas Eve, but eventually you're going to stop, you're going to get up, and you're going to find your new place to go. Having cried out and broken free of the chains of the life that you did have, which went nowhere because of toxicity. So you have to weigh out that risk. Let's talk about another example. Maybe you're in a marriage or some kind of a relationship that's financially beneficial for you, but that's it. Other than that, you're yelled at, cussed at, mocked, criticized, isolated, and cheated on a regular basis. And that's supposed to be love. Should you leave? Well, there's a risk. You risk being homeless. You risk having to live in a hotel for a while. You risk being mocked and criticized and accused of being a bad wife or a bad husband. And so you may have to go and experience crying that out and losing all of your friends that you thought were your friends in the process. Until, like I said, you heal and move on. That's your decision. Or you could stay in that toxic relationship, feeding on the breadcrumbs of the money and the finances while you are beaten, mocked, criticized, ridiculed, and cheated on. And you could pretend that that is love for the rest of your life. So as you see, you have to weigh out in your heart what's right, what's going to be healthy for you. And you have to make a decision. And when you make a decision, you have all the power. The power is in your decision making. And many of you, myself included, unfortunately did not grow up with parents, with a father figure that helped encourage your ability to make good decisions. Or maybe your mother didn't help guide you in your decision making. And so this is the first time you're in this place where you have to make a decision for yourself and you're looking at it. And yes, it's scary and it's risky, but making decisions, even if it means losing everything, at least you're doing it on your own and you're deciding to do it, which gives you all the power. That is the complete exercise of your freedom. That is the ability to harness how powerful you are, is to make a decision, even if it's wrong, but stay committed to that decision. You commit to going no contact. You commit to staying away from your toxic family members, the toxic relationships. You commit to the decision, even if it means you're alone, crying for a period of time, but it's worth the risk because you can heal and move on. Whereas if you stay with the toxic family, you'll spend the rest of your life getting more of the same. The power of decision making. It's all yours. You already have all the power you need to beat narcissistic abuse, to get out of toxic relationships. And again, they're going to do everything they can to crush this in you. They're going to do everything they can to stop you. They hate your freedom. They hate your decision making. They hate it. They're going to make you feel bad. They're going to make you feel not capable. They're going to try to crush it. This should tell you just how powerful your decision making is. Listen, I want to be a part of your healing journey. Down below in the description box, you'll find access to my calendar for one-on-one appointments. We could do a FaceTime, a WhatsApp, video call, telephone call, or a text message consultation. It's up to you. Again, down in the description box is where you'll find access. So head on down there right now, schedule some one-on-one time with me, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on The Royal We.